Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 Word and to the preview for the 2025 Spanish Grand Prix, the final race of this latest triple header, the last race to be named the Spanish Grand Prix held at Barcelona, and if we believe Fred Vasseur, a weekend that could see a big shift in the championship fight and pecking order. So, given all the hype around the possible changes this now infamous technical directive may bring, prepare yourself for it to make little to no difference whatsoever. You never know, of course, but we've been here before. More on that all a little bit later on, though. But anyway, last weekend F1 was in Monaco, where Lando Norris took his first win around the famous streets. But now it is on to the 4.657 kilometre, 2.89 mile, 14 corner Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya for round 9 of the championship season already. Where is this year going? Anyway, it's not as difficult a track to pass on as Monaco, but it is still not easy, so drivers will need to make use of the 2 DRS zones around the track. The first running between turns 9 and 10, and the second down the long start-finish straight, and it is a long start-finish straight here. Maybe not a huge shock to hear then that if we do get any overtaking this weekend, the most likely spots are down at turn 1, which has proved a very popular place with drivers over the years. Turn 5 could be worth a go, but it's not the easiest place to make a move. And some will try it into turn 10 as well, I'm sure, but it's also not the easiest despite being preceded by that DRS section. The circuit made its debut on the F1 calendar all the way back in 1991, which, by the way, saw a cracking battle between Nigel Mansell and Ayrton Senna with one of those iconic wheel-to-wheel overtakes I often bleat on about. Well worth a watch if you haven't seen that race before. 34 races have been held at the circuit over the years, with 16 different drivers taking wins in that time. Also, very random stat here for you. Between them, Verstappen and Hamilton have won every race in Barcelona since 2016. The last driver other than those two to win was Nico Rosberg in 2015. Actually, Lewis Hamilton is tied with Michael Schumacher for the most wins at the track, both drivers having 6 wins apiece. Also, Max Verstappen has won the last 3 races in Barcelona. I know, right? What a stat. Hang on a second. The most wins at the circuit is 6, but 6 just so happens to be the same number of dry tyres in the whole Pirelli range. And 3 wins at the track on the bounce from Verstappen, but 3 is also the number of dry tyre compounds available to drivers across a race weekend. Do you know what that means? Oh yes, that's right folks, I need to get a life for some acting lessons, but also it's a double segue into tyre talk time. The compounds available for this one then are the hardest in the Pirelli range, and so the opposite of the scale to the last 2 races. And they are the hard C1, the medium C2, and the soft C3. This track puts high demands on the tyres, and thanks to the high-speed nature of the likes of Turn 2 and Turn 3, they get put through some pretty high forces as well. On top of that, abrasion is also high, which is another reason why teams will be using the hardest compounds here. Just because we have the hardest compounds, though, it doesn't mean, for those reasons I've already mentioned, that we're going to end up with a one-stopper. In fact, last year, Max Verstappen took the win with a 2-stop strategy, starting on the softs before pitting for mediums on lap 17 and then switching back to the softs on lap 44. In fact, every driver pitted at least twice, with a couple of them making 3 stops during the race. But the 2-stopper was definitely the way to go last year, and it's likely we'll either see a clear 2-stopper or a borderline 1-stopper this year, hopefully the former. Pirelli saying, by the way, that because all 3 compounds have been revised this year, the performance gaps between them are more equal than they used to be, and so that could lead to the medium and soft being the favoured race tyre on Sunday. Let's see what happens. And yes, it's back to the usual pit stop rules, none of that nonsense from Monaco. Safety cars can be a factor here, with 9 races over the years featuring at least one full or virtual, but we haven't actually had one at this race since 2021, so they are not all that common. The weather, though, has thrown up a few curveballs at Barcelona in the past, but if you're expecting a wet weekend, then I have some bad news for you. As I sit here and record this on Wednesday afternoon, rain is not expected to be a factor. It is going to be a warm one, though, which will, across the weekend, affect the tyres quite a bit, with around a 5% chance we'll see a shower on Sunday, so a 95% chance we won't see one. Plenty of time, though, of course, for that to change between now and the weekend. And your schedule for this one is, surprise, surprise, the same as the last 2 races, still though worth a very quick run through as a reminder. So FP1 will kick the weekend off on Friday from 12:30pm BST, FP2 starting later that afternoon at 4pm. Saturday's F1 action starts with FP3 at 11:30am with qualifying underway from 3pm, And it will, of course, be lights out for the race on Sunday at 2 p.m, and once again, that is in UK time. Also worth noting that once again, both Formula 2 and Formula 3 are in action this weekend, so plenty to look forward to in Spain. Now, before I make some more unbelievably brilliant predictions, yeah, right, there is one major talking point worth a quick run through, or at least a reminder of ahead of the weekend's action. As you may have heard a lot this season, and as mentioned at the start of the video, a brand new technical directive will come into force this weekend. And although we've had quite a few thrown around lately, this one could, according to some experts, have a big effect on car performance and indeed the pecking order, with McLaren and Mercedes potentially set to lose out, whereas Red Bull and Ferrari are potentially expected to gain. So what is it? Well, Technical Directive TD018, catchy, is the latest step in the FIA's clampdown on so-called flexi wings, which see the car's aerodynamic surfaces flex under load to improve the car's performance. As you may remember, rear wings were already subjected to a number of more stringent tests earlier this season, with the FIA introducing a flurry of technical directives across the first 3 rounds in Australia and Japan. Unlike the measures brought in earlier this season, though, the technical directive introduced in Spain will focus on more stringent tests for the car's front wings, one of the most crucial aerodynamic areas of an F1 car, of course, with the permitted level of flex reducing from 15mm of movement to 10mm. And every single team is expected to bring an updated version of their front wings to adhere to the change. And speaking to media, including PlanetF1.com at last weekend's Monaco Grand Prix, Ferrari's Fred Vasseur revealed that the team have been working on their new front wing for, quote, ages, and that he is expecting the new rule to dramatically alter the course of the 2025 campaign. Could, maybe, might, perhaps. The fact is, nobody knows for sure, and again, as I said at the start of the video, it may well be the case that absolutely nothing happens at all. We've had plenty of instances over the years where a new directive gets introduced and is claimed to be a big game changer, and then nothing changes whatsoever. But it is still worth a mention because if we believe Vasseur and others, this could really spice things up for the rest of the season. Let's see what happens. Not long now until we start to get some answers, thankfully. Oh, and super quickly, Williams have confirmed that Victor Martins will replace Alex Albon for FP1 in Spain, his debut drive in a competitive Formula 1 session, or as competitive as practice ever gets. And Haas have also announced that Rio Hirakawa will return to action for FP1 for his second of 4 planned sessions with the team as he takes the wheel of Esteban Ocon's car, and at time of recording those are the only confirmed FP1 changes. Sauber, by the way, have introduced a, quote, special livery for Barcelona, which if you look closely, you can see the differences, but on track it's probably going to look no different at all. But it's worth a mention because they've made the effort. There you go. Right then, time to make some predictions, and as always, please do not take these too seriously. They are just a little bit of fun, but if you do disagree with my picks, which you absolutely should, then you can let me know yours in the comment section down below. And last time, I mean, it couldn't have gone much worse, could it? Wrong on basically everything. Although I do get half points for Piastri and Leclerc on the podium, but in the wrong order, so that's better than nothing, I suppose. Now, I know predictions are always guesswork to a point, really, but this weekend it feels like that's even more the case. The new technical directive could mix it up a bit, but it could also change nothing, as I've already said, so I don't really know what to do. And whilst I'm sceptical much will change, maybe this is an opportunity to go a bit more bold, so do you know what? I will. But I will, as always, of course, try and stay somewhat realistic rather than just screaming Hadjar for the win, which would be awesome, by the way. But anyway, let's mix skeptical, bold predictions and naive optimism together, shall we? What could possibly go wrong? I'll say we get a little bit of a shuffle at the front that brings Ferrari and Red Bull more into play, with Charles Leclerc taking pole position on Saturday. Oh, come on, Sean. And Max Verstappen the win on Sunday. The Dutchman followed home by Leclerc and Oscar Piastri for a nice 3-team podium. And how about I hedge my bets even further and go with George Russell for fastest lap? Why not? Behind the leaders, I'm going with Williams as the 5th best finishing team on Sunday, mainly because this is a track that tends to highlight the strengths of good cars, and indeed the weaknesses of cars that are not so good. And let's be fair here, Williams appear to have a good car this season, and results are certainly highlighting that, so I think they will go well here. And because not everyone listens the first time around on the old interweb, I'll reiterate the caveat that I'm sceptical anything will change this weekend, and add that there is a very strong chance McLaren are still the team to beat, and they'll rock up and dominate in Spain. And for some more bold picks, here comes the weekly jinx. I'll say that Fernando Alonso will definitely, absolutely, guaranteed score points on home soil this weekend. He better do. It just seems inconceivable that he won't score at some point in this season, doesn't it? But here we are, 8 races in, no points. And let's say as well we get a surprise in qualifying and both Saubers manage to make it into Q2. Perhaps unlikely, but not impossible. That is it for the Spanish Grand Prix preview then, but don't forget you can let me know your thoughts and your predictions ahead of the weekend in the comment section down below. Now, Sam will be back with another short tomorrow, and I will be back live on Saturday with the qualifying watch-along and, of course, live again on Sunday with the race watch-along. In the meantime, though, if you did enjoy this one, then please do leave a like, as it really does help the channel in its never-ending battle with the YouTube algorithm gods, and consider subscribing too so you don't miss any future videos or streams. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.